Boker Tov, good morning.
Boker Or.
Shana Tova, Chatima Tova. We begin on page 138. Page 138.
Testing. I don't know if this mic's working.
Avo vetecha, eshtaka vehecha kodesha beyirecha. Tovu, tovu, Adonai ahavti me'on betecha u'makom mishkan kevodecha mishkan kevocha v'ani eshtakave ve'ekra evrecha livnei Adonai hosi. Tefilati lecha Adonai et ratzon Elohim berov chasdecha Elohim betov hadecha Aneni be'emet yeshecha Ma tovu Yaakov, Mishkenotecha Yisrael, Ma tovu, Ohayecha Yaakov, Mishkenotecha Yisrael, Mishkenotecha Yisrael.
The bottom of page 139. When I sort through the layered texture of what clutters and claims my spirit, I find you, deepest good, in residence. You shine like a piece of gold inside of me. In that tranquil, secluded district of soul, I discover my true, unblemished nature. Teach me that there is much more to me than just my struggle and my failure. Absorb me in the jewel of your love until I am fully one with your goodness. We continue on page 177. What color is grass? The hurried eye said green. But following the sheen of spring woods, there stretched meadows marbled in such hues of yellow-green, red-green, and blues merging below, between, above. What color is grass? The thoughtful eye said, love. What color is love? The harried heart said, flame. But following the changing years, There poured prisms of delight, and spectrum flowed out of the name-paling moon, stars, and sun. What color is love? The knowing heart said, one. We continue on page 178, the Baruch Hu, our call to prayer. Please rise if you're able. Those who dwell as scientists or laymen among the beauties and mysteries of the earth are never alone or weary of life. Whatever the vexations or concerns of their personal lives, their thoughts can find paths that lead to inner contentment and to renewed excitement in living. Those who contemplate the beauty of the earth find reserves of strength that will endure as long as life lasts. There is symbolic as well as actual beauty in the migration of the birds, the ebb and flow of the tides, the folded bud ready for the spring. There is something infinitely healing in the repeated refrains of nature, the assurance that dawn comes after night and spring after the winter. We continue with Shema, page 186.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem, Kevod Malchuto,
Please be seated.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol levavecha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shitecha b'beitecha u'v'lechtecha b'derech u'shokbecha u'kumecha u'kshartam le'ot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot bein einecha u'chtavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
On page 100. Impermanent, fleeting.
In chaos we cry, in quest for some certainty, an anchor for trust.
Sur Chayenu Magen Yishenu, rock of our lives, our shield and protector, you are the constant, abiding through time.
The rock whose words speak of wholeness and justice, you, the still center, fixed point where we stand.
From the ends of the earth, from the depths of despair, we call, with the psalmist, to our fortress and refuge. Lead me to the rock that is higher than I.
Our rock and salvation, our shelter and strength, grounded in you, we shall never be shaken.
The towers of cities will crumble with age, and iron corrodes and decays into rust.
But the words forever they stand.
Page 196, Mi Chamocha, our song of redemption.
Mi chamocha ha'elim Adonai, mi chamocha neder b'kodesh, norat hilot osefel. Shira chadasha shibechu geolim l'shimcha al sfat hayam, yachad kulam hodu v'himlichu v'yameru Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed. Tzor Yisrael kuma b'ezrat Yisrael ufedechinu mecha Yehuda ve'Yisrael. Go aleinu Adonai tzvaot shemo kedosh Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai Ga'al Yisrael.
The Amidah begins on page 198. Please rise if you're able.
Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avoteinu v'imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak v'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel v'Elohei Leah Ha'el HaGadol HaGibor v'Hanara El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim v'Konei HaKol v'Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot U'mevii Gula livnei v'neihem Lema'an Shemo be'ahava Zochrenu l'chaim Melech hafetz b'chaim V'chotvenu b'sefer ha'chaim Lema'ancha Elohim chayim Melech ozer U'moshia u'magen Baruch atah Adonai Magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah Atah gibor le'olam Adonai Mechayei hakol atah Rav lehoshia Morit hatal Mechakel chayim b'chesed Mechayei hakol b'rachamim rabim Somech noflim v'rofei cholim U'matir asurim U'mekayim emunato Lishenei afar Mi chamocha ba'al gvurot בנאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל.
Please be seated. Page 207.
In these realms of love, by something blunt, by avalanche, by powder, for his greed, for his hunger, and who shall I say is calling? By brave ascent, by accident, in solitude, by his spirit, by his lady's command, by his own hand, in mortal chain, in power, and who shall I say is calling? And who by fire, and who by fire, who by fire.
Page 209. Unetane Tokef. Today we call it by its rightful name a day of dread, Nora Vayom, unwelcome visitor, for we want to live in a sunny world where God is love and all endings are happy. But the drumbeat sounds, and the words tumble down, and even the angels tremble with fear, for all things are judged, and all things will pass, and life ends in a heartbeat, and death knows our name. At the start of the year, in the season of truth, comes the day of remembrance, for we all forget, and all we deny, and we all fall on our knees in the depths of our hearts, for we know that the bell tolls for us. The words are old, and the language was theirs, but the call is real, and the message is ours. Take hold of your life while you still have the chance, for your story will end, and it might be this year in a way you don't know. Take hold of your life. Make things right while you can, and don't miss the call of the day of dread. Continuing on page 212.
Rosh Hashanah, Yikaterun
Ol Yom Som Kippur, Yechatzenu.
An empty page, an open book, a day of ultimate questions. Together, will I still be here next year at this time with the ones I love beside me? What is in store for my family? And what will become of my friends? Who will have reason to celebrate? Who will contend with grief? New love, new babies, marriages deepening or breaking apart, prosperity, struggle, reversals of fortune, illness and health await us. Who will be missing when we gather next? Who will stand apart? Who will be estranged? And who will have joined us, enriching our community? On the edge of the unknown we tremble. What lies ahead for all of us?
And the page, an
Open book. Nothing is written and nothing is sealed. Flesh and blood, frail creatures, our lives are fleeting and subject to chance. Yet this we possess, the strength to persist, to prevail, to comfort one another in the dark. Prayer, right action, a turning toward the good. This gives us hope and help us bear the pain
of life.
We continue on page 216. We who are mortal, our origin is dust, and so is our end. We wear out our lives to get our bread, like broken vessels, like withered grass, like a flower that must fade, a shadow moving on, a cloud passing by, mere dust on the wind, a dream that flies away. But for you, ever-living sovereign, time has no limits. Your presence, unbounded by days and years, is everywhere. A glorious mystery none can decipher. Your name is worthy of you, and you are worthy of your name, and our name you have linked with yours. On page 218. Please rise if you're able.
Nekadesh, Nekadesh, Nekadesh et Shimcha ba'olam, Nekadesh et Shimcha ba'olam, Keshem shemakdishim oto b'shmei maron, kakatov al yad neviecha, v'karazeh el zeh ve'amar, Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzevot, Meloch al haaretz kevodo, Adir, Adirenu, Adir, Adirenu, Adonai, Adonai, Adonenu, Ma'adir, Ma'adir, Shimcha bechol haaretz, Baruch kevod Adonai mimkomo. Echad hu Eloheinu, hu Avinu, hu Malkeinu, hu Moshienu, v'hu Yashmienu, v'hu Yashmienu, berachamav le'enei kol chai. Ani Adonai Elohechem, Yimloch
לדור ודור נגיד גודלך ולנצח נצחים קדושת נקדש ושבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש לעולם ועד כי אל מלך גדול וקדוש אתה. We will teach your greatness to the door by door from generation to generation, and to the end of time we will affirm your holiness, our God. Your praise shall ever be on our lips, and your power is boundless, sovereign, and holy. We continue on page 232. If you're able, please remain standing. Our God and God of the generations before us, may a memory of us ascend and come before you. May it be heard and seen by you, winning your favor and reaching your awareness together with the memory of our ancestors, the memory of your sacred city, Jerusalem, and the memory of your people, the family of Israel. May we be remembered for safety, well-being, and favor, for love and compassion, for life and for peace on this day of atonement. Eternal our God, remember us.
Amen.
Be mindful of us.
Amen.
And redeem us for a life of goodness and blessing.
Amen.
Favor us with words of deliverance and mercy. Show us the depth of your care. God, we await your redemption, for you reign with grace and compassion. Our God and God of our forebears, pardon our failings on this day of atonement. Erase our misdeeds. See beyond our defiance. For Isaiah said, in your name it is I alone, who wipe away your defiant acts. This is my essence. I shall pay no heed to your errors. And the prophet said, as a cloud fades away, as mist dissolves into air, so your wrongs and mistakes shall be gone. I will wipe them away. Come back to me, that I may redeem you. And you said to Moses, for on this day atonement shall be made for you to purify you from all your wrongs, and pure you shall be in the presence of Adonai. God who is ours and God of our fathers and mothers, lead us to holiness through your mitzvot, and may each of us find a portion of Torah that is ours. You bestow such goodness. Teach us to be satisfied and to know the joy of your salvation. Help us to serve you truly with purity of heart, for you are the forgiver of Israel. In every generation granting pardon to the tribes of Yeshurun, we have no God of forgiveness and pardon but you alone. You are blessed, Adonai, sovereign, who forgives our failings and pardons the failings of your people, the house of Israel. You banish our guilt from year to year. You reign in majesty over all the earth. You sanctify the people Israel in the day of atonement. Eternal our God, your people Israel yearns for your favor. Receive our prayer with loving acceptance, and may you always desire your people's worship. Divine One, close to all who call upon you, bring your grace and presence near to those who serve you. Pour forth your Spirit on us, and may our eyes see your merciful return to Zion. Baruch atah Adonai, hamachazir shechinato Tzion. We continue silently with the rest of the Amidah. As you conclude your prayer, please feel free to be seated.
We're going to need more leisure time in the tour service and all to give you a chance to get
echad be'or panecha ki be'or panecha natata lanu Adonai Eloheinu sim shalom
tova uvracha chen v'chesed rachamim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael
Torah Chaim v'achava chesed v'chesed v'shilcha uvraka v'rachamim v'chaim v'shalom
Sing shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael
B'tov b'neicha levarek b'doei ub'kol shah b'shlomecha
Sim shalom tova uvracha chen v'chesed rachamim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael
Searching for something to watch on Netflix this summer, I came across a new documentary, Behind the Curve. Behind the Curve, for those who haven't seen it, follows a man named Mark Sargent and other like-minded folks in their quest to correct the generally accepted fact that the earth is round. This growing group of people call themselves flat earthers. And according to a recent survey, 2% of all Americans believe the earth is flat. That's 6.5 million people. Listening to Mark and the other flat earthers, it's easy to hear their desperation. They laugh when scientists conduct tests to prove the earth is round, offering other explanations for the empirical evidence provided by the scientists. And when experiments they conduct themselves show the earth is round, they conclude they must have done something wrong and go back to the drawing board. These folks are so devoted to the idea of a flat earth that even when they prove the earth is round, they still don't believe their own findings. The idea that we live on a flat earth is slightly humorous, and watching Behind the Curve felt like a guilty pleasure for the most part. The people interviewed in the documentary were sympathetic, but it was hardly a movie that leads one to support their point of view. I finished the movie mostly feeling sorry for these folks. They have become so detached from reality, so dispossessed from themselves, that they fall into the black hole of conspiracy theories. Flat earthers are quaint, they're an oddity, and they're dangerous. At the end of a recent National Geographic Online video, the host who's been interviewing Mark Sargent asks him if he really believes the flat earth conspiracy theory. And Mark replies, "I absolutely 100% believe we are not on a globe. We are a part of a giant studio set. All the world is a stage and you're on it." And then the host continues saying, "I still don't understand though, who's gaining from this larger conspiracy?" And Mark responds, "The highest authority, higher than presidents, the super rich people that are behind the scenes. Remember, the first rule of power is stay hidden." The host then says that there's real danger in what Mark is suggesting. Mark ends his time on camera by saying, "Science has had its chance, and they aren't putting up a defense. I think that the flat earth could potentially usher in a golden age, or it could assure an age of chaos." Mark Sargent is a nice enough looking guy. He appears harmless and sort of nerdy. But his belief system and the conspiracy theory he perpetuates relies on the irrational backbone of a group of people controlling the world. As he puts it, the highest authority, higher than presidents, the super rich people behind the scenes. Remember, the first rule of power is stay hidden. It is this irrational thinking, this malignant, cancerous thought that gets me worried. Flat earthers may make for a funny documentary on Netflix because the notion of a flat earth is so far removed from most of us. But the theoretical underpinnings of that idea are no different than the underpinnings of those who hold anti-Semitic beliefs. I have no idea if Mark Sargent is an anti-Semite, but I shuddered when I heard him use those words in that National Geographic video. Most of us tend to think of anti-Semitism as hatred of Jews, and it is that, of course. But it is really a belief system much deeper than that. In the anti-Semitic conspiracy theory, we Jews are the conspirators. We are the unprovable conductors of the greatest hoax in human history. More than hatred of any other vulnerable group, we are the central narrative of the white nationalist, white supremacist movement in the United States. Eric Ward, executive director of the Western States Center, an organization working for economic, racial, and gender justice, and previously a Ford Foundation program officer, writes about his experience in his anti-racist work over the last 25 years in an article published 2 years ago called "Skin in the Game." In the article, Ward opens with a narrative about going to a doomsday prepper convention in 1995. He writes, "As a black man, I'm regarded by white nationalists as a subhuman, dangerous beast. In the 1990s, I was the field organizer for the Northwest Coalition Against Malicious Harassment, a coalition working to reduce hate crimes and violence. We did a lot of primary research, often undercover. A cardinal rule of organizing is that you can't ask people to do anything you haven't done yourself. So I spent that weekend, as I spent many, among people plotting to remove me from their ethno-state. It helped that despite its blood-curdling anti-black racism, at least some factions of the white nationalist movement saw me as a potential ally against their true arch-enemy." At this gathering, Ward goes to hear a man named Jack McLam. Ward continues, "Jack McLam, a retired Phoenix cop who ran an organization called Police Against the New World Order, makes a case for temporary alliances with, quote, the blacks, the Mexicans, the Orientals, against the real enemy, the federal government controlled by an international conspiracy." He didn't have to say who ran this conspiracy because it was obvious to all in attendance. And despite the widespread tendency to dismiss anti-Semitism, notwithstanding its daily presence across the country and the world, it's obvious to you too. Ward lays out his analysis clearly when he tells the reader, "The successes of the civil rights movement created a terrible problem for white supremacist ideology. White supremacism, inscribed de jure by the Jim Crow regime and upheld de facto outside the South, had been the law of the land, and a black-led social movement had toppled the political regime that supported it. How could a race of inferiors have unseated this power structure through organizing alone? And for that matter, how could feminists and LGBTQ people have upended traditional gender relations? Leftists mounted a challenge to global capitalism. Muslims won billions of converts to Islam. How do you explain the boundary-crossing allure of hip-hop, the election of a black president? Some secret cabal, some mythological power must be manipulating the social order behind the scenes." Remember Mark Sargent's words. This diabolical evil must control television, banking, entertainment, education, and even Washington, D.C. It must be brainwashing white people, rendering them racially unconscious. Contemporary anti-Semitism, Ward writes, does not just enable racism, it also is racism. For in the white nationalist imaginary, Jews are a race, the race, that presents an existential threat to whiteness. Anti-Semitism does not exist in a vacuum. As with every form of hateful ideology, what is explicit on the margins is implicit in the center, in ways we have not yet even begun to unpack. 2 years ago, I stood on our High Holy Day Bema discussing racism and our responsibility as Jews, especially those of us who are white, to ally ourselves with people of color for their sake. But I was wrong. We must also ally ourselves with vulnerable communities for our sake. It was just over 2 years ago that white nationalists rallied in Charlottesville shouting, "Jews will not replace us," and ended that weekend with the murder of Heather Heyer. 18 days from now, we will observe the 1-year anniversary of the massacre in Pittsburgh, a massacre whose perpetrator claimed our commitment to welcoming the immigrant as his overarching reason for killing 11 innocent Jews. And of course, October 26th is also the 6-month anniversary of the shooting in Poway, which resulted in the murder of one person and left a rabbi, the brother of our own Chabad rabbi, Rabbi Aharon Goldstein, shot in the hand. There, too, the attacker claimed that Jews were engaged in a white genocide. And it was just 2 months ago that the president said in his office, "A Jew who votes for a Democrat is showing either a total lack of knowledge or great disloyalty." And then the very next day, the president retweeted a message from a man named Wayne Allen Root claiming that the president is, quote, "like the second coming of God, but American Jews don't know him or like him. They don't even know what they're doing or saying anymore. It makes no sense." These statements are more than dog whistles. They are more than innuendo. They are more than insinuation. They are anti-Semitic. They are hate speech. And America barely noticed. The Jewish community barely made a noise. It's not my job to tell this congregation for whom to vote, and even after the comments from the president, I still won't do that. But it is my job to highlight Jewish issues in our world. In my sermon 2 years ago about Judaism and racism, I acknowledged the lack of state sanction is one of the reasons that we cannot compare anti-Semitism in America today with historic anti-Semitism in Europe. And that is still true. However, with the tweets and comments from the president that we've seen this year, we are inching closer that way. Let that sink in for a moment. The President of the United States just 2 months ago claimed that Jews who vote for the party that is not his are disloyal, and that American Jews deny him as the Savior. In the not-too-distant past, millions of Jews died for these very same claims. When will we know things are really bad? Is there some tipping point on which we should focus? Given the history of our people, these questions are not overreactions. No, I don't think we should be running out and getting visas for other countries or making aliyah, but is there a moment when we should consider that? In her book published earlier this year, Anti-Semitism Here and Now, Deborah Lipstadt discusses the rise of anti-Semitism we're seeing today. And like Eric Ward, Lipstadt offers a view into contemporary anti-Semitism. In her discussion of the trolling of Jewish journalists during the 2016 election, Lipstadt says, The vehemence, intensity, and overt anti-Semitism of these cyber anti-Semites caught even those experienced journalists as well as those who monitor anti-Semitism by surprise. Lipstadt argues that when the president and his associates retweet images and commentary from alt-right groups, even when they're not overtly anti-Semitic, quote, the retweeters give license to the people who share these sentiments to engage in racist, anti-Semitic, and extremist rhetoric. And the more this kind of invective is repeated, the more it has a way of bleeding beyond its original borders and becoming part of the national discourse. As this happens, ideas that were once cindered to be outside the pale of civil conversation become mainstreamed. Lipstadt's book was published this past January. I wonder what she would say about the president's most recent comments in August. In her book, Lipstadt also discusses anti-Semitism on the left. As a foil to our president, she uses Jeremy Corbyn in the UK. Clearly, one doesn't need to cross the pond to find anti-Semites on the left, and we must fight to ensure that the anti-Semitism that exists on the left does not grow as it has on the right. However, the anti-Semitism on the left and the right are not equal. It is only anti-Semitism on the right that has led to the death of Jews over this year. In his discussion of the issue, Ward also acknowledges that social justice movements must take on anti-Semitism. He tells the reader, contemporary social justice movements are quite clear that to refuse anti-racism is an act of racism. To refuse feminism is an act of sexism. To refuse opposition to anti-Semitism likewise is an act of anti-Semitism. Arguably, not much more should need to be said than that, but I suspect that much more does need to be said. To the hovering question, why should we be talking about anti-Semitism, I reply, what is it? We are afraid we will find out if we do. What historic and contemporary conflicts will be laid bare? And if we recognize that white privilege really is privilege, what will it mean for Jewish anti-racists to give up the fantasy that they ever really had it to begin with? I wish I had an echemta, that conciliatory moment in a sermon like this, the after all that statement that turns the sermon into a positive message. But to offer you that turn in this sermon would only be insulting your intelligence. I offered these words to you today not because I wanted to, but because I felt I had to. Are we living in 1930s Germany? No, I don't believe we are. But we are also not living in a moment when all is normal. The flat earth movement is growing. Anti-Semites are emboldened, and conspiracy theories are treated as legitimate news. This is when we live. This moment. The hair on the back of my neck is raised. We must stay vigilant and aware. Since engaging in immigration work and the shooting in Pittsburgh, I've been much more mindful of my own security. When we first moved to Ann Arbor, we didn't always deadbolt our door at night. Now I'm always sure to check my locks. We're taking extra precautions in our office, and as some have noticed, we have increased police presence today and on Rosh Hashanah. When I go to rallies, I scan the crowd, wondering who's present with us. Well, one thing I am certain about, no matter what happens, we cannot stop showing up for each other and for ourselves. We cannot hide. While it is easy to focus on national politics or mass shootings in other parts of our country, we must also ask ourselves about the anti-Semitism right here in Ann Arbor. Already in my short time here in Ann Arbor, I've had more than one conversation with students and parents about inappropriate language used by classmates in our public schools, a sort of low-grade anti-Semitism that conditions the body politic to accept more sinister notions of our Jewishness. If the joke about Jews being good at finding a bargain and hoarding money is so funny, maybe they really do control the banks. If you have a child in middle school or high school, ask them, when was the last time you heard a Holocaust joke or the use of a Jewish slur? Do they even know to recognize the danger of these seemingly innocent slights. Is it the same as the anti-Semitism of white nationalists? No, it's not. But we all know the jokes and language wouldn't be tolerated if they were about another vulnerable group. Yes, it is on us to protect ourselves, but we can do more besides only looking out for ourselves. As our sage Hillel said, Im ein ani li minli uchsha'ani la'atzmi ma'ani ve'im lo achshav ematai. If I am not for myself, who will be for me? If I am only for myself, what am I? And if not now, when? As Eric Ward so clearly points out, anti-Semitism is the beating heart of white nationalism, but we are not these terrorists' only target. We must do a better job of working to ally ourselves with other vulnerable communities. Standing together is the way we must weather this storm. It cannot be a passive allyship. We cannot just rhetorically support the black community, the immigrant community, the Muslim community, and other vulnerable communities. We need to show up as allies. As many here already know, this coming spring we'll be going on a civil rights tour of Atlanta, Birmingham, Montgomery, and Selma. And when this trip was suggested, I agreed to work on it, but only if it meant that we were more than tourists. I'm already in conversation with the pastor at Bethel AME Church about having our communities come together in preparation for this trip. We need to be developing relationships with each other, and not just as pastor to go to Georgia and Alabama and only return with pictures. In this moment, and seeking allies from outside of our community. For 4,000 years, our people have traversed adversity, soared in golden ages, and transformed our world. This will continue to be our destiny, because this is who we are. Our service continues on page. We invite to our bima Murray and Esther Rosenthal, Ned Kirsch, and members of the Board of Trustees, as well as Deborah Child. Please rise if you're able.
Elohim Adonai, ve'en kemaasecha, malachutecha malachut kol olamim, u'memshaltecha bechol dor v'ador. Adonai melech, Adonai malach, Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed. Adonai oz le'amo yitein, Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom.
Adonai, Adonai, El Rachum v'Chanun, Erech Alpayim v'Var Chesed be'emet, Noseh Chesed la'alafim, Noseh Avon la'fefesha v'Chata v'Nakeh. Adonai, Adonai, God compassionate, gracious, endlessly patient, loving and true, showing mercy to the thousandth generation, forgiving evil, defiance, and wrongdoing, granting pardon.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh v'nora Shemo. Gadlul Adonai iti, L'nidromim Shemo yachtav, Lecha Adonai ha'gedula, ve'ha'gevura, ve'ha'tiferet, ve'ha'netzach, ve'ha'od, ki cho b'shamayim u'va'aretz, ki cho b'shamayim u'va'aretz, Lecha Adonai ha'mamlacha, ve'amit na'aseh lechol erosh.
Shalom, shalom bimromav. Yaseh shalom. Oh, say shalom, shalom bimromav. Yaseh shalom. Yaseh shalom. Shalom aleinu. Ve'al Yisrael. Ve'emeru amen. Oh, say shalom, shalom bimromav. Yaseh shalom. Oh, say shalom, shalom bimromav. Yaseh shalom.
Ki mitzion, Tetzei Torah, Bar Hashem Yerushalayim. Ki mitzion, Tetzei Torah, Bar Hashem Yerushalayim. Baruch Shenatan Torah le'amo Yisrael. Baruch Shenatan Torah le'amo Yisrael Kedushato. Ki mitzion, Tetzei Torah, Bar Hashem Yerushalayim. Ki mitzion, Tetzei Torah, Bar Hashem Yerushalayim.
Yivarekecha Hashem Tzion, Urevedu Yerushalayim. Yivarekecha Hashem Tzion, Kol imei me'ayeha. Ulevanim levanecha, Shalom Yisrael. Ulevanim levanecha, Shalom Yisrael. Ulevanim levanecha, Shalom Yisrael. Ulevanim levanecha, Shalom Yisrael. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
Please be seated. Yeah, it's supposed to be upbeat music. It's Torah time. So this morning, our Torah reading can be found on page 266. And for the first Aliyah, I invite to the Torah Jack Billy, and as our reader, Dave Gitterman. Ya'amod Jack Billy Aliyah Harishona.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamevorach.
Baruch Adonai Havarach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Baruch Adonai Hamavarach Le'olam Vahed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Bacha Banu Mikol Ha'amim V'natan Lanu Et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Vayomer Adonai Elohim, Hein Hadam Haya Ke'achad Mimenu L'da'at Tovara, Ve'ata Pen Yishlach Yado, Ve'lakach Gam Me'etz HaChaim, Ve'ochal V'chai Le'olam, Vayeshalchehu Adonai Elohim migan Eden la'avod et ha'adama asher lukach misham vayigaresh et ha'adam vayashchen mikedem legan Eden et hakruvim ve'et lahat ha'cherev hametapechet lishmor et derek et hakayim. V'ha'adam yada et chava ishto. V'tahar v'telet et Kain. V'tomer kaniti ish et Adonai. V'tosef laledet et achiv et Havel. V'yehi Hevel ro'e tzon. V'Kain haya oved adama, vayehi miketz yamim, vayave Kain mipri ha'adama, mincha ladonai.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Natan Lanu Torah Emet V'chayei Olam Nata B'tochenu. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
And for the second Aliyah, we invite Ralph Katz for the Aliyah and Linda Green to read Torah. Ya'amod Ralph Katz la Aliyah Hashniya.
Baruch Adonai Havarach.
Baruch Adonai Havarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Havarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Ha'olam Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amim V'natan Lanu Et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
It's the fifth line down. You said 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Vehevel, Heviv, right here. Amen. Vehevel, Heviv, Gam hu mi bechorot zono umichel vehen vayisha Adonai el hevel ve'el minchato ve'el Kain ve'el minchato lo shah vayehi Vayicha lechayin vayiplu panav, vayomer Adonai el Kain, lama haralach ve'lama naflu fanecha, halo im tetiv se'et ve'im lo tetiv la petach chatat provetz ve'alecha tishukato ve'ata timashol bo. Vayomer Kain el hevel achiv, vayehi vichyetom besadeh, vayakom Kain el hevel achiv, veyehargehu. Vayomer Adonai el Kain, hevel achicha, vayomer lo yadati hashomer achi anochi.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chaye olam nata betochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
And for our final Aliyah of the morning, we invite Ken Wachsberger for the Aliyah and Jenny Young to read. Ya'amod Ken Wachsberger la'Aliyah hashliishit.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai havarach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai hamvarach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bacharbanu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Vayomer mehasita kol demei achicha tzvakim elai min ha'adama ve'ata ro'rata min ha'adama asher patzata et piha lakachat et demei achicha miyadecha ki tavod et ha'adama lo tosef tetchalach navanati va'aretz. Vayomer Kain el Adonai gadol avoni minaso in girashtati ayom me'al pnei ha'adama umipanecha esater v'chayiti navanan ba'aretz v'chaya komotzi yagini vayomer lo Adonai lachin kol Kain shivatayim yukam vayasem Adonai leKain hot levirti hakototo komotzo vayitze Kain milifnei Adonai vayishev be'eretz no Kirmatitan.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'chaye olam nata b'tochenu, Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
We continue on page 271 with our prayer for healing. Misha berach avotenu v'imotenu Avraham, Yitzchak v'Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel v'Leah, hu yivarech virapei et hacholim. And as our glance meets yours, if you'd like to share a name, please feel free to do so. May the one who brought blessings to our fathers Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and to our mothers Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah bring blessing of health to all those who are ill, who are named here today and anywhere in our world. May the Holy One, blessed source of life and healing, sustain and strengthen them with compassion and restore them to full health without delay. For all who struggle against illness, let renewal of spirit and renewal of body come soon. And together we say,
Amen. We invite to our bima Bill Parkus and Harvey Wax to address. Please be seated. Before we move into the Haftarah for today, just thinking about, continuing to think about our world, and thinking about what might be a Haftarah that we're reading 2,000 years from now. A Haftarah of not just, I think, rebuke, but a call to action. Words delivered at the UN just a few weeks ago. This is all wrong. I shouldn't be up here. I should be back in school on the other side of the ocean. Yet you all come to us young people for hope. How dare you? You've stolen my dreams and my childhood with your empty words, and yet I'm one of the lucky ones. People are suffering, people are dying, entire ecosystems are collapsing. We are in the beginning of a mass extinction, and all you can talk about is money and fairy tales of eternal economic growth. How dare you? For more than 30 years, the science has been crystal clear. How dare you continue to look away and come here saying that you're doing enough when the politics and solutions needed are still nowhere in sight? You say you hear us and that you understand the urgency, but no matter how sad and angry I am, I do not want to believe that. Because if you really understood the situation and still kept on failing to act, then you would be evil, and that I refuse to believe. The popular idea of cutting our emissions in half in 10 years only gives us a 50% chance of staying below the 1.5 degrees Celsius and the risk of setting off irreversible chain reactions beyond human control. 50% may be acceptable to you, but those numbers do not include tipping points, most feedback loops, additional warming hidden by toxic air pollution, or the aspects of equity and climate justice. They also rely on my generation sucking hundreds of billions of tons of your CO2 out of the air with technologies that barely exist. So a 50% risk is simply not acceptable to us, we who have to live with the consequences. To have a 60% chance of staying below 1.5 degrees global temperature rise, the best odds given by the panel, the world had 420 gigatons of CO2 left to emit back in January 1st, 2018. Today, that figure is already down to less than 350 gigatons. How dare you pretend that this can be solved with just business as usual and some technical solutions? With today's emission levels, that remaining CO2 budget will be entirely gone within less than 8.5 years. There will not be any solutions or plans presented in line with these figures here today because these numbers are too uncomfortable, and yet you are still not mature enough to tell it like it is. You are failing us, but the young people are starting to understand your betrayal. The eyes of all future generations are upon you, and if you choose to fail us, I say we will never forgive you. We will not let you get away with this. Right here, right now is where we draw the line. The world is waking up. The change is coming whether you like it or not. Thank you. Sounds like a prophet to me. We continue on page 277 and invite to our bima Marilyn Scott and Rick Swartz.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam asher bochar b'nviim tovim uvaratzon v'divreihem hane'emorim be'emet Baruch atah Adonai habocher b'Torah Moshe avdo, uVyisrael amo, uVinvieh ha'emet v'tzedek.
The fast I desire. Cry from the depth, says God. Do not hold back. Lift up your voice like the shofar. Tell my people their transgression and the house of Jacob their sin. Yes, they seek me daily, as though eager to learn my ways, as if they were a nation that does what is right and has not abandoned God's law. They ask of me the right way, eager for God's nearness. They say, "Why did we fast and you do not see it? We afflict ourselves and you do not know it." Because even on your fast day, you think only of desire while oppressing all who work for you. Because your fasting is filled with strife, and with callous fist you strike. No, your fasting this day will not lift up your voice before heaven. Is this the fast I desire? A day to afflict body and soul, bowing your head like a reed, covering yourself with sackcloth and ashes. Do you call this a fast, a day worthy of the favor of Adonai? Is not this the fast I desire? To break the bonds of injustice and remove the heavy yoke, to let the oppressed go free and release all those enslaved? Is it not to share your bread with the hungry and to take the homeless poor into your home and never to neglect your own flesh and blood? Then shall your light burst forth like the dawn, and your wounds shall quickly heal. Your righteous one leading the way before you, the presence of Adonai guarding you from behind. Then when you call, Adonai will answer, and when you cry will respond, "I am here." If you remove the chains of oppression, the menacing hand, the malicious word, if you offer your compassion to the hungry and satisfy the suffering, then shall your light shine through the darkness and your night become bright as moon. Adonai will guide you always, slake your thirst in parched places, give strength to your bones. You shall be like a well-watered garden, an unfailing spring. From you they will rebuild ancient ruins, lay foundations for ages to come, and you shall be called the one who mends the breach and brings back the streets for dwelling. If you cease to trample Shabbat, stop pursuing your affairs on my holy day. If you call Shabbat a delight, the holy day of Adonai honored, and if you honor God by not doing business or speaking of everyday matters, then shall you take pure delight in Adonai. I will lift up your journey on earth to the highest of places and nourish you from the heritage of your father Jacob. For thus spoke Adonai.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam, tzur kol ha'olamim, tzadik b'kol hadorot, oel ha'ne'eman, v'hadot v'yoseh, ha'medaver u'mekayim, shekol divarav emet v'tzedek, al ha'torah, v'al ha'avodah, v'al ha'nevi'im, v'al yom ha'kippurim hazeh, Shenatato lanu, Adonai Eloheinu, limchila v'lislicha, u'lekapara, lekavod u'letiferet. Al hakol, Adonai Eloheinu, anachnu modim lach, u'mevorakim otach, yitbarach shim kol b'fi kol chai, Tamid le'olam va'ed, v'divrcha emet v'kayim lo ad, Baruch atah Adonai, Melech mochel v'salech l'avonotenu, u'levanot amo beit Yisrael, Zemavir shematenu b'chol shana v'shana, Melech al kol ha'aretz mekadesh Yisrael v'yom ha'kippurim. Amen.
Page 286. God of holiness, we hear your message. Justice, justice you shall pursue. God of freedom, we hear your charge. Proclaim liberty throughout the land. Inspire us through your teachings and commandments to love and uphold our precious democracy. Let every citizen take responsibility for the rights and freedoms we cherish. Let each of us be an advocate for justice, an activist for liberty, a defender of dignity. And let us champion the values that make our nation a haven for the persecuted, a beacon of hope among the nations. May our actions reflect compassion for all people within our borders and abroad. May our leaders and officials embody the vision of our founders to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. We pray for courage and conscience as we aim to support our country's highest values and aspirations, the hard-won rights that define us as a people, the responsibilities that they entail. We pray for all who serve our country with selfless devotion in peace and in war, from fields of battle to clinics and classrooms, from government to the grassroots, all those whose noble deeds and sacrifice benefit our nation and our world. We are grateful for the rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness that our founders ascribed to you, our Creator. We pray for their wisdom and moral strength, that we may be guardians of these rights for ourselves and for the sake of all people, now and forever. And on page 288, Avinu, you who are high above all nation states and peoples, Rock of Israel, the one who has saved us and preserved us in life, bless the state of Israel, first flowering of our redemption. Be her loving shield, a shelter of lasting peace. Guide her leaders and advisors by your light of truth. Instruct them with your good counsel. Strengthen the hands of those who build and protect our holy land. Deliver them from danger. Crown their efforts with success. Grant peace in the land, lasting joy to all people, all of her people. And together we say, Amen. We continue on page 291 and invite to our bima Barry Levin and Ron Aaron to open our ark as we return our Torah. Please rise if you're able. It's a heavy one. You can have it.
Eitz Chaimi lama chaziki ba etom mechea meushar tirachea tarchenom bechol netivoteha shalom. Hashivenu Adonai Elecha v'nashuva Kadesh Kadesh Yameinu Kadesh Yameinu
Thank you. Please be seated. Thank you. We continue on page 292. We stand in humility, conscious of our failings. Shema kolenu, Adonai, hear our call. True sacrifice to God is a penitent spirit. You treasure a crushed and repentant heart. For you are close to the brokenhearted. You give strength to a suffering soul. You are the healer of shattered hearts. You are the one who binds up their wounds. For thus says the high and exalted one who lives forever, whose name is holy. I dwell in a high and holy place, but also with the downcast and lowly, to bring new life to despondent souls, to restore and revive repentant hearts. Return now, Israel, to Adonai your God, for you have fallen because of your sin. Take words with you and return to God. Ask the Eternal, forgive what is wrong, accept what is good. We stand in humility, conscious of our failings. We set before you the wrongs we have done. We trust in your compassion, for you know who we are. Shema kolenu, Adonai, hear our call. Page 296. Please rise if you're able. Our God and God of all generations, may our prayers reach your presence, and when we turn to you, do not be indifferent. Adonai, we are arrogant and stubborn, claiming to be blameless and free of sin. In truth, we have stumbled and strayed. We have done wrong. Ashamnu, Magadnu, Gazalnu,
Dibarnu
Dofi,
Hevinu,
Vehirshanu, Zadnu, Chamasnu,
Tafalnu
Shaker, Ya'atnura, Kizavnu, Lasnu, Maradnu, Niatnu, Sararnu, Avinu, Pashanu, Sararnu,
Kishinu Oref,
Rashanu, Shichatnu, Tiavnu, Tainu, Titanu. Continuing on page 299. For the sin we have committed against you through evading and avoiding, because we could not face the truth, for our flight into hypocrisy and deception, because we did not dare to glossed over, for the excuses we made, for feeding our bodies with the souls of others, and the and our self-righteousness, which lessens us, for calculating kindness and measuring out pity, for clarity that is cold, and prayers without feeling, for withholding our love, for the appeals that we ignored and the people whom we refused, for the affection which died and our lives that became bitter, for the visions which faded, the ideals we neglected, and the opportunities we lost, for the fear of change and renewal, and our unbelief, for saying prayers aloud but refusing to listen, for being our own worst enemy. Continuing on page 307. A Vidui for the 21st century. We confess our sins against the earth. We commit ourselves to saving it. We have assaulted our planet in countless ways together. We have blamed others for the spiraling, deepening crisis. We have consumed thoughtlessly and irresponsibly. We have driven myriad species to the point of extinction. We have exhausted irreplaceable resources. We have failed to transcend borders and act unselfishly. We have given in to our many appetites and our gluttony. We have harmed beyond repair the habitats of living beings. We have ignored the signs of change in our climate and our seasons. We have jeopardized the well-being of future generations. We have known the problem but left problem solving to others. We have lost sight of our role as God's partners in creation. We have mocked cynically those who love creatures great and small. We have neglected the environment, most of all in places of poverty. We have overpopulated our cities and overfished our oceans. We have polluted seashore and sky, fertile soil and freshwater springs. We have questioned and doubted solid evidence of danger. We have ravaged the old-growth forests, ecosystems created over centuries. We have spewed poison into the bloodstream of our land, its rivers, lakes, and estuaries. We have transformed dazzling beauty into industrial ugliness. We have used shared resources for personal gain and corporate profit. We have violated the commandment, do not destroy. We have wasted precious treasures, our God-given gifts. We have exploited the weakest and most vulnerable in our midst, and yet we learn to be better guardians of this earth and fullness thereof. Let us be zealous now to care for this unique corner of the cosmos, this planet, our sacred home. We take a moment for our own silent confession, a cheshbon hanefesh. If you'd like, there are personal reflections on page 308 and 309, or just pray the words of your own heart. Open your heart, he said. Open your eyes, see the truth and forgive. I cannot, I said, through clenched teeth. It's this way, he said. The Endless One made a world wild and chaotic. Light and darkness, birthing and dying, joy and sorrow. All of us are enmeshed in good and evil, caught by forces beyond our control. We act in ignorance and confusion, blindly lashing out. But I'm hurt, I said. Listen, he said. You expect order. You think you can exert control. This is the source of your pain. The one who hurt you is trapped, as you are trapped, in compulsion and fear. Know this, he said. All of life, hevel havalim, a breath of air, a bubble that bursts in an instant. So learn to live with impermanence, accept uncertainty, and your suffering will ease. You cannot guarantee security, he said, but you can hold fast to wisdom. Look at the world with new eyes, he said. Let go of expectations, and you will relinquish fear, anger. In their place, love and compassion will blossom. And then, the clenched fist of your heart will open, and you will forgive. Shema Kolenu, page 316. Please be seated.
Berachamim,
I hear pages turning, but that's the end of our service. For now. We will continue this afternoon. But before we do that, a word from the president of our congregation, Joe Pollack.
Shana Tova.
Shana
Nice
Tova.
to see everybody this morning. You are welcome to stay here at the temple throughout the day for our afternoon services. At 2:30, there will be a study session in the chapel. At 4 o'clock, the afternoon service begins here in the sanctuary. At 6 o'clock, approximately, will be Yisker, followed immediately by Nila, followed immediately by our Break the Fast. There are 2 traffic notes that you should beware of. 1, if the custom in your family is to send one person to get your car and for other people to meet the car here by the temple, then you are invited to use the circle driveway for that purpose. You can definitely pick up your passengers in the circle driveway. You are not invited to stop your car on Packard to pick up passengers. Number 2 is there is bus service now to Burr Park, to the parking area at Burr Park. There will be bus service continuing after the 11:30 repeat of this service, but there will not be bus service this afternoon. So if you leave the temple and you decide to come back for one of the afternoon services, make sure that you park here in the neighborhood within walking distance. And if you do that, please be kind to our neighbors. Do not block their driveways and do not block their mailboxes. Shana Tova.
Thank you, Joe. And I appreciate the way you put that. The rabbis of old wouldn't have said you are not invited. They would have said you are forbidden. Shana Tova, Chatima Tova, and we'll see you in a few hours.